If you dislike preparing your hoop for display, this is for you. An easy and effective way to back your hoop that is non-permanent and therefore protects your piece the most. These are the materials that we will need for this tutorial. I am using an identical hoop to the one that is already on my design, but if you only have one hoop, you'd have to take it out, as we will need the inside of the hoop to trace on the felt. And then a string. I would use the 6 strands of floss so that it is thick enough and firm enough, because we will need to do some tugging. Make sure it's also long enough to go around the whole circle, plus a good 6 inches more, just in case. Now take the inside of your hoop and you're going to trace, just with a regular pen, the inside of the hoop on the felt like this. Next, you'll want to cut it out, and just make sure to not use your embroidery scissors, as that will make them less sharp over time. Next, it's time to make a running back stitch. A running stitch. A running stitch through your entire piece. Now, something I recommend you to do that I did not do here and I did afterwards is to even out the excess fabric on the sides of your hoop. So maybe leave maybe half an inch or so, or it can even be a full inch, and you just want it to be even, as it'll just have a much neater and pretty look at the end. So just notice how I'm doing this running stitch. I'm making pretty big stitches. You could make them smaller if you want. I would say that this is the maximum length that you can make it for this technique to work well. Now, as we get closer to the end, you are going to pull on that string so that it closes it up. And that is why it was important to use 6 strands and 2 knots, so that when we do the pulling, it doesn't come through the fabric, as I do recommend pulling tight enough. I only used 3 strands here, and that was just not enough. But let me show you how I knot it up. Tie it up by dividing the strands. When you use 6 strands and do 2 knots, it's going to be secure. So now this is what it looks like. If I were to push the felt piece into the back like this completely, you can see that there's just bumpy areas. So what I actually like to do is put it in gently without pushing the fabric in, and then cutting a second piece to cover the back if I really want to cover up that fabric like you saw in the beginning. But with this one, as it's just going to sit in my home, I don't mind leaving it like this. As for the look that you saw in the beginning with the embroidery tags, I just want to show you how I attach them to the felt. These go, of course, on the second layer that you will use to back your hoop if you so choose. A 2-wrap French knot per hole with a 6-strand embroidery floss is what I'm using. And I'm also going to show you at the end how I tie it up to secure it. So this is how it looks with the second piece of firm felt covering the fabric, and it's definitely a much cleaner, prettier look for a gift. Here's the second one that I took care of since I was already on a roll. I've actually decided to sell these little tags since I find them so cute, so you can find them in my website. And the same for this pattern. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this tutorial was helpful.